Story 1. If you come from a troublesome family, being legally married will prevent them from interfering with property ownership and medical care. Story 2. Legal rights. A classic tragedy occurs when a couple spends their lives together unmarried. This arrangement works well until one partner dies, and their family intervenes as the legal next of kin, leaving the surviving partner destitute. Story 3. My sister's partner of 7 years passed away while they were engaged. They had lived together and shared finances. The day after his death, his family, with whom he had a limited relationship, changed the locks on the house and would not allow her access to her belongings without permission and an escort. They were cruel. If they had been married, she would have had more control over the funeral proceedings and management of their assets. This added to an already terrible situation. Story 4. We receive tax benefits and are each other's automatic next of kin. A significant reason for our marriage was to make it much harder for our toxic mothers to claim our assets or make medical decisions if something were to happen. Story 5. Many people mention that the rights granted by marriage can be approximated with the appropriate powers of attorney and wills. However, marriage is an internationally recognized concept, and particularly for straight couples, your marriage will be recognized without question wherever you are. If your unmarried partner experiences a health event during your vacation overseas, do you really want to figure out if your power of attorney is valid? Get it translated and certified, find a local lawyer, and coordinate with your embassy, all while your partner needs you at their bedside? Story 6. My spouse says that filing one tax return instead of two was worth it for her. She dislikes administrative tasks. I was with my partner for 15 years before we got married, and we never really thought marriage was necessary. The legal protections around our health, assets, and children are significant. You can obtain these protections through legal means, but that would have cost more than our at-home wedding. Depending on the employer, unmarried couples can be included in each other's health insurance plans. Getting married made me think about our future in a different way. I find being married to someone who shares the same goals for the future to be enriching. A long-term commitment could achieve this, but it often takes a special pair to fully invest in it without marriage. Additionally, marriage provides legal recourse for a spouse who may be underemployed, which does not exist in non-marital situations. My mother was a stay-at-home parent by agreement with my father for most of my life. She sacrificed 15 years of full-time earnings and career advancement to care for our home. My father worked long hours and did not assist much at home. In a long-term partnership, he could have left her without providing anything. She had no career to fall back on. Instead, they divorced and she received around half of the marital assets and some alimony. She deserved this outcome because she contributed significantly to allow him to work as he wished. It was fair and not contentious. Story 7. My husband and I finally decided to get married because he needed health insurance, and it would allow me to add him to my plan. There are many valuable legal benefits. Being able to make medical decisions if one partner is hospitalized, protection in case of a breakup, especially if one partner does not work, and the ability to designate your partner as your heir are just a few. The American healthcare law provides certain protections for spouses. There are also immigration benefits if one partner leaves their country. If there is a significant income disparity, there may be tax advantages, as we experienced. Additionally, some laws offer favorable treatment, such as homeownership provisions for the spouses of military veterans and survivorship and retirement account rollover benefits. The LGBTQ community fought vigorously for marriage rights because it was a generation that was excluded from hospital rooms, deathbeds, and funerals by their partner's family, as they had no legal rights without marriage. Some of these benefits can be obtained by completing the appropriate paperwork, and I strongly advise everyone, single or otherwise, to establish a living will and medical power of attorney. However, not all benefits can be secured this way, and many people do not think to complete the necessary paperwork until it is too late. Story 8. For the military, it means a lot. You can live off base, and there are other benefits. Many people get married just for these advantages. My friend, who is gay, married a lesbian in the early 2000s just to live off base. Story 9. There are over 1,000 federal and state rights and benefits for couples that would require extensive legal assistance and paperwork to access when a simple marriage certificate suffices. Story 10. I didn't see the point of marriage until we got married. You feel reassured and stable. It brought us a lot closer to one another, which I wasn't sure was possible. There are legal benefits, making it easier to transfer estates, wealth, and investments should either of us pass away. As for the wedding, we had 40 guests, and if we were to do it again, it would definitely be a micro-wedding with 8 to 10 guests at most. We kept it budget-friendly and spent around $12,000. It was an amazing day, but I don't know that we gained anything more from a 40-person, $12,000 wedding than from an 8-person, $3,000 wedding. All we wanted was good food, a great photographer, and memories with the people we loved the most. Story 11. Gay people fought for the right to marry for a reason, not just for fun. Marriage has many benefits: economic, legal, and more. Many commenters have already listed these. However, I want to mention a non-tangible benefit. The title of spouse carries significant weight. I was with my now husband for 10 years before we got married. I used to think marriage was just a piece of paper and postponed it. But after we went to the courthouse and obtained that document, I was surprised by the difference in introducing someone as my boyfriend versus husband. Even my mother-in-law, after recovering from the shock of us not having a wedding, treated me differently. Our relationship feels more respectable. I thought it wouldn't matter. I thought I wouldn't care about how others view my relationship, but I guess I do. Story 12. Depends on the jurisdiction. In some places, if you are not married and your significant other dies without a will, the survivor, by law, receives nothing. If your significant other ends up in the hospital, by law, you have no say in their treatment, and you can even be banned from the hospital. Story 13. My husband passed away unexpectedly at the age of 53. There were no questions about who would make decisions regarding his estate, the disposition of his body, the beneficiary of his life insurance, or anything else. Additionally, he earned about 4 times as much as I ever have. When I retire, I will receive Social Security benefits based on his income rather than mine. Story 14. Divorce is a serious matter. If you decide to split, having a legal system in place to divide assets and ensure support is very important. Story 15. Anything where you may potentially have to step into a courtroom, such as divorce, wills, insurance, or taxes, requires that if you are one entity, you want the legal system to treat you as such. Story 16. Buckle up. This is my favorite question to be asked. The only change we have noticed in almost 4 years of marriage is related to taxes and medical decisions. I jokingly say nothing and everything, but the reality is focused on taxes and medical choices. My wife almost died in 2019 from a ruptured ulcer that tore over an artery in her stomach. Within an hour and a half, she had lost half the blood volume of an adult. The first procedure reopened, resulting in a second arterial bleed. At that time, we were not yet married. I was working on sobriety after a period of separation, and we were planning big steps. This was in September 2019, and the next year brought COVID-19. We eloped on Halloween. Why? Obviously, for love and commitment, and knowing how much we wanted to be together. But I also never wanted to feel that powerless again, watching her die and being unable to make decisions. During the second rupture, the doctors did consult me, but she was almost incoherent, and they knew it was an immediately treatable situation. Do you need to be married for all of this? No. You can sign medical proxy paperwork and designate a next of kin. However, in marriage, it all comes to me to make decisions when she cannot. That was the moment I got sober, realizing someone else needed me just as much as I needed her. Story 17. Depending on where you live, it can offer legal and tax benefits as well as ease of procedure during the event of unforeseen death or disability. It also streamlines many issues related to shared children when the parents are married. Story 18. Everyone is discussing legal matters, but it should be noted that marriage is an extremely meaningful cultural ritual and custom in every culture. Story 19. You are automatically considered the next of kin. This is crucial when you consider the possible need to make medical decisions. In the United Kingdom, automatic inheritance occurs even if there is no will. Automatic parental responsibility does not apply if a parent dies and they are not married. Marriage is essentially a contract enforced by the government to recognize your status in your spouse's life, ensuring that you serve as their voice and advocate in a worst-case scenario, and that you receive compensation in various ways. It is important to note that in our society, marriage is still viewed as the most valid form of partnership. There are benefits to this perception, though they are less tangible. Story 20. While there are legal and tax benefits to marriage, research suggests that the financial security and long-term mindset of those who tie the knot may also be a powerful driver of wealth. Story 21. You are establishing a legal partnership in the eyes of the state and all the protections that entail, including assets, medical decisions, and taxes. You are informing the state that this person is the one who can speak for you. This is the person with whom you share your assets, even if finances are separate. Story 22. Marriage is a social construct, but we all live in society. It is a system with laws and rights that have been developed over generations. Society and the law understand and adapt to the concept of marriage. While individual benefits are important, the more significant issue is that the system is designed to support married couples, although it may not work as effectively for those cohabitating informally. Story 23. Healthcare involves joint taxes, clear parenting rights, and straightforward legal pathways during crises or in the event of death. Socially, taking a vow of commitment feels different than simply floating along. There are additional terms of endearment. Together for 25 years and married for 15. Story 24. Insurance. My wife and I were together for 16 years before getting married. She decided she wanted to retire at 62, but she would be ineligible for Medicare, and the exchange policies were prohibitively expensive. As a federal employee, I could add my wife to my health plan and maintain it in retirement. So my marriage proposal was, do you want to share my health insurance? I suppose I am the last of the great romantics. Story 25. There are many tax and legal benefits available, including Social Security survivor benefits. Tax breaks may apply depending on your respective incomes. Generally, assets can be transferred to your spouse tax-free upon death. You may also be eligible for family rates on items such as insurance, although this varies. Typically, your spouse will be consulted on medical issues if you are unable to make decisions, though this is more of a convention than a legal requirement. Story 26. Survivor benefits allow individuals to make legal decisions for each other. My brother-in-law just passed away last Friday. He was with his longtime partner for 37 years. We didn't contest any of her decisions regarding his final affairs because they had been together so long. Who are we to dispute their plans for each other? Not all family members would feel that way. Some will fight until the bitter end, especially if money is involved. Story 27. A friend of mine recently passed away, leaving behind his fiancée and son. She had no say in his remains management. There weren't many options available to them. His father is retired, and he and his fiancée are disabled, as is his mother. I'm sure she would have felt better being able to make decisions. He also did not work enough for his disability benefits to be transferable to his son, so it appears they are in a difficult situation. Story 28. It is often viewed as an inconvenience, but technically, getting married makes a legal name change much easier. You have to go through many steps to change your name unless you are married. Then, you simply show your marriage certificate and everything is fine. Story 29. To me, one of the nicest things is being able to refer to my wife as my wife. People understand the nature and seriousness of your relationship in everyday conversation when you use the terms wife, husband, or spouse. The same is not true for girlfriend, boyfriend, or partner. No one comprehends if you say you need to check with your girlfriend before you accept an invitation or make a purchase decision. It is just much easier to say wife. Story 30. Your legal spouse can automatically inherit all your assets without a will, make medical decisions for you if you are incapacitated, and generally provide an easy way to designate someone to handle these matters without the need for extensive documents or legal fees. However, it is a double-edged sword, and I wish more people would take it as seriously as it is, especially in the United States. Story 31. The quotation marks make me wonder if there is something more to this question than I understand. Story 32. I dated my wife for a decade before we got married. I thought it would be the same. It wasn't. Standing in front of family and friends to say your vows is truly life-changing, as is having a legal spouse. Story 33. We lived together for over 25 years and decided to get married for legal reasons. As we grow older, we have to consider decisions regarding the afterlife. Story 34. My wife and I were together for 7 years before we got married. Once we got married, we combined our finances, added each other to all our documents, and made other necessary adjustments. Since then, it has felt like a complete change for me in terms of stress. It's not that we ever treated each other poorly, but now we both understand our commitment to each other, which has made us more patient than we were before. We also participated in couples counseling, which helped to strengthen our bond. Story 35. I have considered adopting a child, and it is a requirement to be a married couple. However, it really depends on the country. Story 36. Tangible aspects include insurance, inheritance, visitation, default medical decision-making in case of incapacitation, and taxes. There is also an intangible sense of deeper commitment for some individuals. Story 37. You pose a valid question. Speaking generally, I would gladly settle for someone who is never going to give me up, never going to let me down, never going to run around and desert me, never going to make me cry, never going to say goodbye, never going to tell a lie and hurt me. Story 38. I think it's important to remember that getting married is a legal process. The importance of a marriage license is not only for when things are good, but also for protection when things go bad. As others have mentioned, it is vital for making medical decisions and for circumstances when a relationship ends. It is critical for stay-at-home parents who devote their lives to supporting their spouse's career and raising children to seek alimony after a relationship ends. I always recommend that couples be married if they are buying a house together, as the process can become complicated when dividing assets without legal protection. Story 39. 1. You are now the other person's decision maker. If they are incapacitated, you get to make that decision. There have been cases in the past where a gay person's parents gained control, as their partner had no legal rights. You cannot be forced to testify against them in court or vice versa. If you break up, a divorce will split your assets. If you weren't married, you might find that your shared assets are not legally recognized as shared. This can also be a disadvantage depending on who owns the assets. You may have more social acceptance in some circles. Story 40. Rights of survivorship. Rights of kin. Spousal privileges. Spouses cannot be compelled to testify in court against one another. Spouses are generally allowed to make medical decisions for each other when incapacitated. Spouses automatically inherit the other's assets upon death without the need for probate, unless this is superseded by a will. In some jurisdictions, under the right circumstances, one spouse's signature is considered equivalent to both signatures, such as in cell phone contracts and insurance applications. Spouses generally have a longer life expectancy than non-married individuals. Story 41. As a live-in partner, if he wanted to kick me out, he could just evict me. If he wanted to leave, he could take everything that didn't have my name on it. In a medical emergency, even if I am his emergency contact, they will only talk to the next of kin, which is not me. Also, when a partner dies, you can receive Social Security survivor benefits. Even if your name is not on valuable property, in the event of a separation, you still get a share, but only if you are married. Story 42. To some people, marriage means nothing. To others, it holds symbolic value. Where I live, a registered partnership is possible without marriage, although the rules are not entirely the same. My wife and I wanted to marry because we are both a bit romantic. She preferred being able to use the same surname as me and the children. Story 43. One day your partner could roll over and say they no longer love you and leave. Your spouse could also say they no longer love you after you receive benefits such as retirement, alimony, Social Security benefits, and the estate. Story 44. My husband is a disabled veteran. There is a lot for military spouses to consider, including housing pay, education benefits. I receive 2 years of free college, pension, retirement, and more that I may not be recalling. Story 45. I received a comment on this in a legal advice forum. I thought that just having a will and living together was sufficient in terms of inheritance. However, it turns out that you can will federal and state benefits like Social Security pensions and income, or Roth 401ks. So, to answer your question, you need to be legally married to inherit your deceased spouse's Social Security benefits and company retirement benefits, as well as other potential government benefits that I may not be aware of. Story 46. Taxes, and if someone gets into an accident, you will be informed by the police. In the case of divorce, you will have certain benefits or a prenuptial agreement. There is also a social aspect. Many studies show that people who are married receive more job promotions and opportunities. Married individuals often have a favorable image of work-life balance in the eyes of employers. Story 47. In Germany, if one partner earns more money than the other, they pay lower taxes. Upon death, the surviving partner receives a portion of the pension. Inheritance taxes are reduced. Both parents share the same surname as their children. Story 48. I had a great aunt who lived with her boyfriend. He owned a small farm but wouldn't marry her because she had a son who was often in trouble, and she enabled him. When her boyfriend died of cancer, she took care of him the entire time. His family came in and sold his land for millions but gave her nothing. After more than 20 years of being together and caring for him and his farm, she received nothing because they weren't married. Story 49. The benefit is simply legal benefits. Consider this: your partner would have no more say in your well-being or estate than your best friend. Your best friend has no legal right to visit you in the hospital, no legal right to your estate if you pass away, unless expressly stated in a legal will, and no legal right to any life decisions you make. Story 50. Besides all the other great reasons listed, if you and your spouse have done a good job selecting a suitable partner, then the legal equivalent of an unbreakable oath encourages you to work on your relationship instead of taking the easy way out and quitting. I'm not saying there aren't unhealthy marriages that need to end in divorce, but most people should approach relationships and sexuality seriously. When they get married, they should be comfortable making a lifelong commitment. Speaking for my wife and me, assuming that divorce is not an option has forced us to grow, become better people and parents, and break many seemingly innocuous but harmful habits left from previous relationships. Story 51. Depending on your location, there may be legal benefits. Regardless of your location, a stronger commitment is essential. Story 52. 1. Legal matters such as taxes, inheritance, and medical decisions. For some individuals, the ceremonial aspect is significant. Cultures around the world and throughout history have various marriage ceremonies. My husband and I participated in a hand fasting, which held great meaning for me. It was important to express my vows to him in front of our loved ones and the deities. Story 53. As I found recently, it makes things like wills a lot less complicated, including taxes, as others have stated. Personally, I find it a bit strange to call someone I've been with for 20 years my partner or girlfriend. Story 54. I see many legal and tax benefits listed here, but one specifically notable as you get older is Social Security survivor benefits. One of my parents had a spouse who passed away. Their pension did not include survivorship benefits, and their other retirement accounts were divided between my parent and their spouse's children, not my parent's children. This spouse had a higher lifetime earnings than my parent, allowing my parent to apply for Social Security survivor benefits to increase their monthly payment and help supplement the loss of income. Story 55. You become each other's next of kin, have presumed power of attorney rights, and can file joint tax returns. If you do not marry, your next of kin, along with the rights that entails, is your closest legal relative. In the United States, if you are legally married for 10 years, you are eligible for spousal benefits from the other's Social Security. Story 56. Marriage at the legal level is a contract. Despite appeals from religious institutions that it is a sacred bond, the state views it as a matter of property, inheritance, taxation, and power of attorney in medical decisions. In same-sex marriages, this provides the same protections in the partnership. While churches can add their personal touch to weddings, without the license, the marriage is not valid. The state has no interest in the private matters of the two parties. despite claims that marriage is exclusively for procreation. If that were the case, sterile individuals or those beyond childbearing age would also have no reason to be married. Historically, marriage had additional implications, such as tying families together, dowries, alliances, and control of provinces. Marriages were sometimes arranged, men had multiple wives, and some individuals were child brides. Thankfully, we have mostly moved past these practices. Common law marriage often resolves legal questions when two unmarried partners live together long enough. I am not a lawyer, but I am relaying a few points shared by a lawyer following the Obergefell decision. Story 57. No one expects death. If it happens and you are not married, in many places, including North America, you may not be considered next of kin. If your family decides to be uncooperative with inheritance, things can get complicated and unpleasant. Story 58. She can use my insurance and I can use hers. I guess there are tax benefits, even if I've never seen them. Story 59. For us, it was about making a permanent commitment in front of God, family, and friends. He, our child, and I are officially a family, both legally and spiritually. The health insurance came later when he obtained a better job. Story 60. All the taxes and rights mentioned are valid. However, that is beside the point. It is a formal declaration to those around you that you both are committed to making this work. They should respect your union. You have officially decided and want to announce that your partnership is the permanent state of affairs. Story 61. In the United States, the main benefits are tax advantages, health insurance coverage, estate planning services, and employee benefits. Story 62. Before marriage equality, my uncle and his now husband, then partner, had all legal documents drawn up that essentially granted them the same inheritance and power of attorney rights as a married couple. They had to carry copies of these documents because they were terrified that if something happened to one of them, the other's family might take over. Neither set of their parents was particularly supportive of their gay sons. I know my grandparents might have used the opportunity to intervene and punish my uncle's partner for turning him gay. Their words, not mine. Even with all the correct paperwork, there have been countless court cases where long-term partners, even heterosexual ones, have had to fight for their dying or deceased partner's wishes against unsupportive families. My uncle and his partner traveled to Massachusetts to be legally married the first week it was legalized. It meant they would never have to live in fear of what would happen if one of them passed away or became too ill to voice their desires. Moreover, if you have children, it adds a layer of protection. In Indiana, if you are an unmarried couple, even if the father is on the birth certificate, he has to go to court to legally establish paternity. A married man does not have to do that. Story 63. My partner and I never plan on getting married since they are on disability, and it would significantly impact our finances if we did. The house is only in their name, but we have arranged for it to transfer to me upon their death. The same applies to our bank accounts, and they are my life insurance beneficiary. There are ways to protect each other legally without relying solely on marriage. Story 64. Situations where powers of attorney and a will may need to change. If you do not want to get married, that is fine. However, take a small amount of time to legally protect your wishes. Negligence. A couple of $100s could have prevented many of these issues. You do not need marriage to create a legal pathway for exactly what you want. Story 65. It is much cheaper to be married if you do not plan on divorcing. You receive tax benefits and gifts at the wedding. Story 66. I can visit you in the hospital when you fall off the ladder after I told you not to go up there. Story 67. In Australia, we have a de facto classification that entitles individuals to spousal rights similar to those of married couples. If your partner goes to the hospital and requires medical decisions without a formal document, the de facto partner is considered next of kin and has medical authority. Similarly, if one partner passes away, the other retains the same rights and obligations as a married couple. Story 68. Double insurance. I wear contacts and he wears glasses. He gets 2 pairs of glasses a year, and now I get a pair on top of my contacts just because they are covered. Story 69. Back in college, I worked 40 hours a week to pay for school, while my fiancée worked at least that much to cover her expenses. Neither of us qualified for financial aid because our parents earned too much money, but their income was not being used for our education, ours was. They certainly did not have the extra funds to pay for it, even if the government expected them to. We learned from the financial aid office that if we got married while in school, we could apply jointly, and since we had low income, we would qualify. We were already engaged but had decided to wait until college was over to marry. Instead, we started planning the wedding and got married the following year. This allowed us to qualify for aid, which covered the rest of our college expenses. We did not need loans, as this was in the early 2000s before the tuition increase. We worked hard to graduate debt-free, and it was successful for us. I am not sure if this information is still relevant today, but it really helped us during a crucial time, allowing us to start our marriage with minimal debt. Additionally, job benefits such as medical, dental, vision, taxes, and medical decisions were important considerations. Story 70. As a submissive man, I prefer to have a wife because she will have more power over me than a girlfriend would. Story 71. 1. Legal recognition and protection of the relationship. 2. Access to spousal benefits such as healthcare, life insurance, and retirement benefits. 3. Tax benefits such as filing jointly and potentially paying lower taxes. 4. Inheritance rights and protections for spouses. 5. Ability to make medical decisions for a spouse in case of incapacity. 6. Immigration benefits for foreign spouses. 7. Social security benefits for spouses. Joint property ownership and financial stability. 9. Increased emotional support and companionship. 10. Potential for a longer and healthier life. 11. Improved mental health and well-being. 12. Greater financial stability and security. 13. Legal protection in case of divorce, including division of assets and spousal support. 14. Access to spousal privilege in legal proceedings. 15. Increased social status and acceptance in society. Story 72. Social security benefits when you reach retirement age. In the United States, if your spouse earns more than you do, your benefit will be based on their income instead of yours. Story 73. We are all on our own. The laws and labels comfort some people while controlling others. We must navigate society and understand the language, but always remember you are on your own. We die alone, and that is okay. It is a beautiful life, and we can be kind and generous. If we seek to make our love a contract, it is not love. Story 74. I'm finding out. My partner and I have been living together for 7 years. We have discussed marriage, and for various reasons, we both don't want it. The financial and legal protections would be nice, but they are not enough to justify marriage. Maybe it's possible in the future, but it is not right for us now. Story 75. It depends on your location. I am in Canada, where common law partners have the same rights as married couples in some provinces, especially if you do your research and have the necessary documents filed with a lawyer. Story 76. Mostly legal. My wife and I were together for 16 years before we got married. It really was a business choice. There are so many obstacles to navigate in an emergency when you are married and your lives are so intertwined. Story 77. Except for religious and emotional reasons, in most cases where both partners work, there is no benefit. If only one partner works, there tends to be a tax benefit to being married. All the other benefits listed can be accomplished with legal documents if you are not married. I have been with my significant other for 38 years. I was a tax accountant when we met, so I figured out it saved us a lot of money in taxes not to be married. However, we put all our assets in a joint trust and signed various documents granting us all the rights that a married couple has, including medical rights. Story 78. Legal control of joint property, custody of minor children, power of attorney, and inheritance rights, along with the right to combined benefits such as medical and pension. Story 79. Marriage is a social construct with legal implications. Choosing to formalize a relationship through marriage carries more significance for most people than similar but unmarried relationships. This is why the LGBTQ+ community fought so hard to achieve it. Story 80. I don't agree with many things she says, but one of my guilty pleasures is watching Judge Judy. She often says, "The law is not written for people who are playing house. There are many laws that protect you if a marriage fails or a spouse dies, but there is little protection for girlfriends and boyfriends, other than some tenant laws if they are cohabitating." Story 81. Taxes, medical reasons, and paperwork for children are among the considerations. There are numerous benefits, many of which revolve around societal expectations. However, the key aspect is signaling to your significant other that you are formally committed to them for life and all that entails. If this does not sound important to you, then marriage may not be the right choice for you. Story 82. If you are in the military, you must be legally married for your spouse to receive any type of health insurance or entitlements. Story 83. Tax advantages for filing jointly, pension and other survivorship benefits can facilitate healthcare decisions for each other, and family will stop asking when you are going to settle down. Story 84. As stated, there are many legal reasons for power of attorney. I experienced one back in the day. I was with my now wife, but we were just dating and living together with many joint bills while working at the same place. She needed surgery, and I was told I could take vacation or a personal day, but because we were not married and she was not my child, I could not use a sick day for her recovery. This was before the legalization of same-sex marriage. If we had been a same-sex couple, they would have allowed me to do it. Honestly, I was already looking to leave and knew that paid time off would be compensated. But there was no sick time available, so I was trying to maximize my benefits. Story 85. That ring on your finger is significant, and you don't realize just how much it means until you have it. We are each other's family, not just partners. It signifies that he is my dependable one, and I am his through thick and thin. It is not just about the will, hospital rights, or taxes. It is nearly everything. At least that is how it is for me. Story 86. For legal reasons, I love my wife and would live with her without a ring or documentation stating that she is with me. The problem arises if we do not have that documentation. If something unfortunate happens to one of us, it will be more complicated to make medical decisions and manage assets. Story 87. I didn't think it would feel any different afterward. We had already been living together for 5 years and were fully integrated, but I was wrong. Making a giant declaration of love in front of the people who mean the most to us, making a commitment that carries weight and consequences beyond just our feelings for each other, and knowing that we both wanted it as badly as the other made us feel so much closer in a way I have never experienced before and still don't have the vocabulary to describe accurately. I still get chills remembering our wedding vows and the feeling that someone loves me so much that they would go through the nerve-wracking process of a wedding. It was the best day of my life so far. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.